was talking about how I complimented Colin on traveling in Iowa gear, but Martin refused to acknowledge it.
I know.
What?
You didn't
It's
say
hard to
anything.
it's hard to get responses out of the Clara.
What do you mean?
Just
I don't acknowledge it.
I literally said I was like, Colin, veteran move, wearing Hawkeye gear while traveling. Crickets. No response.
Did you write that to me?
He wrote
yeah.
it to the text.
Oh.
You sent pictures of Colin in Hawkeye gear in London. I was like, that's
Oh,
great.
I'm sorry. I might have missed that. I even as you're saying it now, I'm like that does not ring a bell.
Well, regardless,
I'm
it's
sorry.
just it's just tough crew.
All right, I get you now.
Brady's on the outs with the Clara. Clara's old
You
and new.
got sent a picture. What more do you want? Acknowledgement of your humorous texts, I suppose.
100%.
Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are a guy who thinks he's Ethel Merman, and a person who would like you to have this flower from the Religious Consciousness Church, Martin and Brady.
No wonder you're upset. She's lovely and a darling figure. Supple, pouting breasts, firm thighs. It's a shame you two don't get along.
Stryker, listen, and you listen close. Flying a plane is no different than riding a bicycle, just a lot harder to put baseball cards in the spokes.
This week, we're talking about the movie that took disaster films, flipped them upside down, and created one of the most quotable, absurd, and influential comedies of all time. We, of course, are referring to the 1980 comedy juggernaut, Airplane. The movie redefined spoof comedy, launched thousands of parodies, and still manages to land joke after joke over 40 years later. Of all of them, which is your favorite?
Of all the jokes, all the quotes,
All of them. Everything.
when you this was a Jelani idea. When you said it, I was like, yeah, I like Airplane. All right, I liked it a lot more than I remember. Maybe it's because I'm older now. I think I watched it for the first time like in high school or early college, and it didn't quite land as much. I found it to be a lot funnier, and I did watch it. Some of it with my kids, which was interesting. Like they did get a lot. They didn't hate it as much as I thought they would. I thought they'd say it was old. And we'll get to the parts that I'll tell you guys what they thought was really funny. But what about you, Brady?
So I don't remember when I first saw this. It definitely wasn't timely. I mean, it was obviously I was born the year it came out, but I mean I was behind the times on seeing Airplane. I think I saw a lot of the other movies that came after. I was a big Naked Gun fan. Watched all those, loved them. And then somewhere along the lines, I think, heard about Airplane, and so then went back and watched it and thought it was really funny. But I will say I wasn't laughing as hard at some of the jokes this time around. So I don't know if it was being tired or if it was maybe they weren't quite as funny. I don't know. Or expecting them, I'm not sure. But I definitely thought I was going to be dying laughing. Although I was making notes about the things that did get me laughing out loud, and there's a nice
there's probably a good overlap on what you were your notes and what we actually found funny. But what I think is interesting is that it doesn't rely on a ton of lewd. It didn't have to be super dirty. The thing that got me, I think the first time, and the kids too. I think the kids agreed because they liked the hospital bit or the ongoing bit. What they were saying. What's a hospital? What is it? It's it's a large building with patients, but that isn't important right now. They do that 2 or 3 times, and each time it's stupid. It's stupid dad humor, and maybe that's why I like it. But I just found that it's for 1975, and there obviously was some stuff. There is some of the sexual jokes. That's how I found out that initially I was watching the clean version
Because you didn't see the one
that was
scene?
on Sundance. It was the auto and the automatic blow up. I remembered. That's when I first realized that it was a clean version.
Oh, that wasn't the scene that I was talking about.
Which one were you talking about? The actual
the
nudity?
nudity when the woman runs across the screen topless.
Which was pretty much right after that. But it was that point. The clean version, they show her reaching in and pulling out the tube and then leaning over, and then they show Leslie Nielsen walking in, but they don't show the cigarette afterwards, which is kind of weird that's the only part that they don't really want to. Well, actually, it wasn't just the cigarette; it was like the heating and, and whatever. But at that point, I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. I gotta go back and get the dirty
The raw
version,
and uncut version.
Yeah, but I mean, most of the movie is not super super lewd, super dirty.
And I mean, do you remember back then? I mean, I assume that wasn't common, right? I know we've joked over the years that there was always that 1980s action movie, and it was like you were going to get a random boob shot, that whether it really needed to be in there or not. But yeah, the lewdness, I don't think that wasn't the humor, right? It was more cleverly written, and I want to hear what Jelani has to say, but I want to circle back on one other point too.
Yeah, for me, like this was a movie that my mom loved, and so by proxy, like I watched it a lot, and
A woman with good taste.
Yeah.
Martin's still pandering.
Of course, tried to suck up to BB. But yeah, so it was just, I thought it was hilarious. Like it was a good flashback for the first, I want to say half. It might have been even a little bit more. But as soon as they bring in the tower and they bring in Lloyd Bridges and his whole thing, I fell apart. I was dying after that point. One of my favorite scenes before that, though, is when they're doing the radio checks before takeoff. What's your vector, Victor? We have clearance.
That's
Roger,
what I mean. Yeah.
What?
It's so good because they set it up so well, right? Like they introduce everybody, and he does it. It's a who's on first bit, but it's such a unique one, and it is famous now. So that's what I'm saying. Like maybe I didn't find it as funny. I know I didn't find it as funny 20 years ago, but now I've heard it through the years, and just watching it, the whole thing all the way through with the perfect comedic timing, it was very funny. And the kids enjoyed it as well.
And that's a great lead-in back to what I wanted to talk about. So, Jelani, to your point, the delivery and the actors that were used were the Lloyd Bridges, Peter Graves, Robert Hayes, Leslie Nielsen, Robert Stack, Leslie Nielsen. What blew me away, again, seeing this in the order that I did, was that they chose those actors like Stack, Bridges, Graves, Nielsen because of their reputation for playing like no-nonsense characters. And until this movie, they hadn't done comedy. I only knew Leslie Nielsen as comedy. So, like,
exactly,
it was obvious to me that he would have been the way that he is in this movie, super dry, and that deadpan delivery and being absurd.
None of them laugh. I don't think any of them smile.
I was
the whole movie.
Legitimately, as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, Robert Stack, Unsolved Mysteries guy.
Unsolved Mysteries, exactly.
That's all
Lloyd Bridges, and I'm like, I mean, I've seen him in a ton of different things now, Seinfeld included, down the road. Mandelbaum.
Exactly.
Mandelbaum. there was
I didn't know Peter Graves as anybody.
The original Mission Impossible.
Okay, I did not. I did not know that.
Yeah,
but
you must not hang around a lot of gymnasiums.
Well, that was a thing. And
watch movies with gladiators.
I was reading that he was very against the role because he didn't want to be, essentially,
a pedophile?
Signed onto a role where he liked young boys. And I'm like, but his family was like, it's so funny, like you have to do it.
I mean, yeah. How do you make pedophilia funny? That's how you do it.
They did it. They did it.
Or even when they go to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and the kid's like, "You're Kareem Abdul-Jabbar." He's like, "No, my name is Roger Murdoch."
So
he's like,
Kareem stuff I didn't think was funny. I don't know. Maybe it was in the moment.
Oh, I thought he played it really well too because he didn't act it perfectly. Right. So it was, which made it perfect.
Right.
Like you could tell
he was a
just
basketball player.
Yeah,
trying to
I don't know.
it.
I just didn't see it.
Yeah,
I didn't see
it was
the
good.
need.
But I think that's probably, there has to be the first instance of that, like of whatever. It's not breaking the fourth wall. But I don't know what you call it, where it's just like you cross over. You acknowledge that you're a real person, not acting in a movie. So I think it's been done since then. But yeah, this is there's points for originality as well.
Supposedly it was written for Pete Rose, and it was baseball season, so he couldn't do it.
Yeah. I think people have gone back to that well, in There's Something About Mary, when Brett Favre shows up and everybody's like, what the hell is Brett Favre doing here? Right?
In town playing the Dolphins.
I'm a Niners fan.
But yeah, I think, like I said, it's got the little hints of, the awkward, unusual characters, the young people who are drinking coffee.
Oh, that was
she's like,
that was
I take
amazing.
it black like my men.
That was on my list
That was
of that one got me really good. I'm like, that's.
But even before that, what I thought was funny is the kid's reading the U.S. News, a very conservative, right, grown up, and he's checking her out as she's walking in. At first, I thought he was checking. I didn't realize that she was young. I thought it was an older woman that he was checking out. I didn't realize it was the young girl. I was like, oh, did you have a cup of coffee? And is the coffee joke not the kid coffee joke, but the other one?
Apparently, it was a commercial.
Is that a commercial? Yeah, that's what I told the kids. But then I'm like, am I wrong? Is it famous for this movie, or is it the commercial?
Yeah. And it definitely was what?
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw that in the notes.
Well, that's the thing. There's the spoofs a lot of movies that you guys probably don't even aren't even aware of. From Here to Eternity is an old Burt Lancaster, Deborah Kerr movie where they're on the beach. That whole scene, that's a spoof of a very famous black and white movie where they are on the beach, and I think the joke of it was all the seaweed and stuff around them, because that's what would happen if you're in the dead fish. It's a movie that everybody saw, in I don't know what year it came out, but so audiences of Airplane would have gotten that reference. And again, I didn't recognize it the first time because I hadn't seen that movie when I first saw this movie. But there you go. So there's probably a lot more, because Colin would reach over, or lean over and be like, "Dad, is that a reference?" I'm like, I don't know, maybe. I'm sure there's a lot that I'm missing.
Well,
too.
I literally right out of the gate, I was like, I loved the Jaws intro, of the airplane. I thought that was very clever, and that's a really funny way to introduce the beginning of the movie. So I thought that was right out of the gate. And the whole red zone, white zone announcement was I was confused, but also I'm like, why is this so prominent? And then I'm like, oh, they're changing it. And then that made me laugh because I finally grasped what was going on.
Yeah. Well, they just took it to 11.
Well,
out of nowhere.
So apparently it was the actual people who did announcements, and they really were a husband and wife. And so, yeah, so
it's the only sensible thing to do.
Yeah, you're 100% right though. Taking it the way they did, but literally, you could tell it was I was like, oh, they're making a point for you to hear these announcements. So I'm like, why is this a thing? It's not funny. Then finally realizing it's because it kept changing opposite back, bouncing back and forth, and then I was legit laughing out loud about it. You mentioned the Roger Victor Clarence bit. The old woman hanging herself, listened to a story, really, really made me laugh.
That's the one. I mean, the kids made me rewind it. Colin was talking about it the next day. He's like, I was not expecting that old lady to hang herself. He's like, we got to watch that
him
again.
And I, we get level good suicide. It was hilarious.
I know, that's the same thing. How do you make it funny?
Did you see our man James Hong? He was the second one that killed himself.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Which wasn't as funny, but we knew what was going to happen. Colin was anticipating it. And then this morning, you guys will be very proud of him. I said I was dropping him off at football practice, and I'm like, I don't know what I said, but I said something, and I'm like, Shirley, you'll have a fun time. And I look at him and he goes like, I will have fun. And don't call me Shirley. I'm like, you nailed
Well
it.
done, Colin.
And then I did it again. He's like, once again, don't call me Shirley. I was looking right at him. I'm like, are you gonna pick up on this or not?
The Jive Talk made me laugh really hard, and I didn't know it. And again, I think, Martin, to your earlier point, like the people who watched this would have picked up on it right away. But the older woman who translated it was the mom from like Leave It to Beaver.
Barbara Kingsley.
So, I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah, of
I
course,
remember
yeah.
watching Leave It to Beaver, but I couldn't have picked anyone out of a lineup. Like, I could get why that's extra funny in the moment, for
Yes.
like it's funny that anyone translated it, an older woman, but it's extra funny that it's a Leave It to Beaver mom. Like, right, like they nailed that on the casting side. So
If I had more time, I was going to try to do it in Gen Z slang. Like take what they were saying, and because at the end it's like, you better believe it or something like that. It's like it would have been no cap, just like but I ran out of time, guys. Sorry.
I was gonna say one of the ones that I still use with my kids is when they're in the tower and the one guy is digging in his ear, and Robert Stack goes, "Get that finger out of your ear. You don't know where that finger's been." I tell my kids that all the time. I'm like, "You don't know where that finger's been." They're like, "Yeah, I do. It's my finger."
Does he sniff it afterwards in the movie? It's so good.
I really enjoyed the callback joke. This is the wrong week to quit. This is the wrong week to quit amphetamines. It just kept like escalating, and that one was
Finally ends with the sniffing glue, right?
Yeah.
I really picked the wrong week, and it's Lloyd Bridges, so it made it funny.
the lady doing cocaine instead of whiskey was
She gets offended when he offers her the
that
drink.
one might have been the funniest, to be honest. And then I really, out of nowhere, Mike Ehrmantraut.
Yeah, I was going to see if you guys
Jonathan
picked up
Banks,
on him.
out of nowhere. I did not expect to see him. So
Just hanging out, reading the radar.
those are my quick shout outs. Sorry to go through a lengthy list there, but
The dad from Just the 10 of Us. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show.
I actually think I did.
Who was he?
Yeah. He was the guy in the hospital that, before the Ethel Merman shell-shocked thing, he was one of the guys that was just like screaming. He's like, I got him down in this foxhole.
Oh, he's going
something.
down
He
the
was in
foxhole,
bed.
yeah. He thinks he's still in the war.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this movie, like, I guess set the stage for me, right? Because I saw this obviously before I saw Blazing Saddles and before Spaceballs, but like even way before Hot Shots. But like that's what I envision, like a good parody. Like this is the standard of
It's
of
the
parody.
blueprint.
Right? And
It's
it,
a
like you
template.
said, Martin, it doesn't have to be lewd. It doesn't have to be gross. It has to be clever, and it has to like play on things like the word play or the sight gags and things like that. Even they started to do this. I think they did a lot more in like Hot Shots and maybe even in Spaceballs. But like if you watch the credits all the way through, at one point they just put like the author of Tale of Two Cities, and then they just list Charles Dickens in the credits for whatever reason.
Having their own fun.
I think I think Hot Shots put like recipes in their
That
credits.
sounds right. It's been a
Or,
minute
like,
since I
chocolate
saw
chip
Hot
cookies.
Shots, but I do remember there being some random stuff. It was like that was ahead of post credit like clips. It was like, oh, there's funny stuff
Yeah.
coming if you wait and actually like pay attention.
Yeah. So
Well, and I think what makes it work is the pace of it. Like you get a stupid joke, you get like a dad or a kid joke, like the Mayo Clinic with mayonnaise in the back. Like that's just stupid, but it's so funny and great. And then the
Hold the mayo.
or I'll take ham on
on
five,
five.
hold the mayo. Yeah, like great. But then you take that, you have all that stuff that's just like dumb and silly, and then the actual. When they do have something that's like more punches you in the face out of nowhere, it hits even harder. Because if it was just a mile a minute of poop jokes or again sexual jokes, then it would lose the impact. But when you have a bunch of stupid jokes and then you don't expect one to hit really hard, like the Otto sexual scenes, so yeah, it's funny. It's good pacing, is what I'm saying, because everything's a joke. There's no time when they're serious
Correct.
at all, and I think that it sets the There's just a good pacing to it.
Yeah. I think, like Brady was mentioning too, also having the serious actors in there to counteract or to be in the silly points, because, like Leslie Nielsen, Peter Graves, they were, known as serious actors. And then, like, even Robert Stack, right? He's Elliot Ness from the old Untouchables, and then he's Unsolved Mysteries for our generation. But, like, to see him being kind of that same, like, voice and that same, like, voice of reason, but then being, like, doing silly stuff, and when they're trying to guide the lights in, they're like, hey, maybe we should turn on the lights, and he's like, that's just what they'd be expecting. You're like, no, you're supposed to be saving them, not being super serious and dramatic in this. But yeah, it worked so much.
Yeah, but the deadpan delivery is great of these
Well,
serious...
all three of us are fans of that delivery style, and the humor is undeniable, I would argue. So it was interesting to see them. And again, I don't know Robert Stack from really anything. I know him from Unsolved Mysteries. That's where I saw him most of my life. And yeah, so you hear him actually being funny, and it's extra hilarious.
Yeah, what do you make of this? Well, I can make a plane. I can make a brooch. That guy had a bunch of jokes. Some of them I don't think I fully got, but that one got me. What do you make of this? And I think people repeat that one a lot. I've heard that one through the years.
I like that one. I like when Bridges is like, the fog's getting thicker, and he runs over to the other guy. He's like, and Leon's getting larger, and he like shakes his belly.
I just, but is that like a reference to something?
Probably.
I wasn't.
No,
it was funny.
It's just silly, just being dumb.
I did like it. But I wasn't sure if I was just didn't get them all.
It feels like these aren't gonna happen, right? Like these stopped happening, and just can't really be duplicated.
Yeah, I think people are just
anymore.
too like cynical, right? Like we're cynical, and like I think in general we've talked about this. Like it's just harder to get comedies out there because everybody's got like a different view on it, and you can't all agree on what is funny. So what is going to appeal to the three of us is not going to appeal to three other people who have a different podcast. Don't listen to theirs though. But it's just like it's too hard, it's too broad, it's too many places that you got to hit. So people have stopped doing it. But there was the release of the trailer for Spaceballs 2.
Yeah.
I wonder if it will be subtitled Jews in Space, as the first one prophesied. But
there's no way they let it go entirely.
Let's see if Mel Brooks has still got it. I'm willing to bet there's some left in the tank.
Well, I saw
there.
what you guys shared, and it was shared. The post that site shared was from Josh Gad, so I don't know if he's involved on the writing or acting or anything. So, wouldn't surprise me if he was included or involved in that. But it's one of those. There's an argument to be made that it should have just been left alone.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we'll see how. It depends on how good they. Have you guys seen History of the World Part 2?
Yeah.
No,
I don't think I have. I haven't. I started it, but I never finished it. But yeah, it might bomb. But I think there's enough. Like the trailer show, it just shows all the different Star Wars prequels and sequels that have been made, and all the Harry Potter movies, all these things that have just numerous sequels, and all the Marvel movies, which is funny. But I think there's a lot more to pull from to make fun of the sequel culture. So I think that'll give it a good amount of things to spoof that haven't been spoofed by Mel Brooks. So I have high hopes.
Yeah. We'll definitely.
Is this team? What is this team? Zucker and
Abrams, Zucker brothers, and Abrams.
Yeah. Or is it the opposite? Abram brother.
No,
there's two Zuckers.
Two Zuckers.
Okay.
Two Zuckers and an Abram.
All right. Are they doing anything? Are they alive? Do we know?
So I looked up the Zucker brothers and Abrams, and so Jim Abrams went on he was part of the team that wrote The Naked Gun, all three of the movies, as well as the Police Squad creator. He wrote
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Top Secret. Hot Shots 1 and 2, and then Mafia and Scary Movie 4. He worked with David Zucker, who was the producer and writer for those films, as well as Basketball, High School High, and then Scary Movie 5. And then
I did not. I stopped at like Scary Movie 2, which was actually pretty funny. Scary Movie 2 is one of the better ones.
The other Zucker brother, though, kind of veered from everybody else. So he is known for the producer of My Best Friend's Wedding, Friends with Benefits, Fair Game, and Ghost.
Nice.
So they like to divert, but
yeah, it's kind of like the crew that did Spinal Tap. You know, there's the whole like chunk of them from the cast and some of the writers and stuff that did all those Best in Show, and Mighty Wind and those kinds of movies, and then other people. Just Rob Reiner went on to win Academy Awards, and, and do great things.
Same with Adam McKay, right? Because McKay did all those comedies with Will Ferrell, and then does like The Big Short,
right?
And you're just like, oh, didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, they got range.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe they'll get involved in bring something back to all the Zucker brothers will reunite and with Abram and give us something else.
Yeah.
Is there an there's no Airplane sequel, right?
Yeah, there is. It's not.
Oh, there is,
nearly as good. I think they go to space, but
Okay. Yeah.
it's like the same stuff on a space shuttle, but
As all good franchises do.
right.
Fast and Furious, Airplane.
Exactly. As always, the life of everyone on this pod depends on just one thing: finding someone who will subscribe to our Film Fathers podcast, but who didn't have fish for dinner. Thanks, and go to bed.